And this is a very important thing that, again, I don't think you're going to get that in traditional religion. But what were the scriptures really about, you know? It's the voice of God, okay, it's the word of God. Religions will say that. But it was written by human beings. I think all the authors of the books of the Bible are men, unfortunately, but you know, maybe there's a Gospel of Mary Magdalene, right? But that's in the apocryphal texts. It isn't part of the canonized Judeo-Christian Bible that we would see in, for example, the King James Version. So yeah, Mary Magdalene did write her own book. I'm not sure if anybody else did. Can anybody think of any other book in the Bible that had a woman that wrote it? I don't think there is, unless I'm wrong. Maybe there is another one, but anyway, reading your comments here, and you guys are all listening very intensely. Oh, Ruth, Esther, and Judith. Okay, great, says Vacapalo. So there are some in the Old Testament, I guess, and that's good. Thank you for clarifying that. Wade Woodruff says Sophia. Yeah, so the feminine wasn't completely excluded. Oh, Deborah in Judges, too. Ruth, Esther, and Deborah in Judges, says Manny Figueroa. Good to know. Film Wizard asks, is there a financial collapse happening? I hope it, if there is something like that going on, I hope it doesn't get too bad. And I hope we can move through it peacefully and with grace and without a whole lot of suffering. Definitely the economy has gotten worse, and that's why we really need to hopefully get through this war as quickly as possible and not have it drag on, because if the fuel supplies are interrupted for very long, it is going to make things even more difficult. Then they're not, we're not dealing with that. So anyway, what are you doing about it in your daily life, your daily conversation? I mean, this is the core of the message right here. This is really the core of the message. It is not by might or power. It doesn't happen in a mighty voice. It's a still small voice that says, peace, it is I. Be not afraid, it is I. Your Savior, your Christ. Yes, yourself, meeting that babe in your own inner self that may grow even as he to become a channel of blessings to others. So yes, this is really, really stressing that the Christ is within. There is a Christ consciousness within all of us. It is who we really are in our core. It's the center of what we really are in our being. And, that's where we go back to a true divine source-oriented consciousness, is understanding these truths, understanding the peace, understanding that we are embodiments of love, that we are embodiments of this galactic mind that has taken form in the Christ and in us. Even in your enemy, you see your Savior. That's a very powerful message, because as we go through these turmoils and these tribulations, that's obviously we're in some type of tribulation here. Obviously, we're going through something that is thankfully not catastrophic earth changes, thankfully not the end of the world. But yes, we're afraid of war. We're afraid of, nuclear exchange. That could happen. Hopefully it won't. We're afraid of this thing escalating and bigger powers stepping in. We're going to pray again for peace. That is not happening. And, we got to do our best to try to be a positive role for how this is all unfolding. That's my job, as far as I can see right now, is to just hold an anchor in light, anchor in positivity, anchor in what I believe is a positive thing, because we can be channels of blessings to others. We know about the meditation effect. We know that when 7,000 people get together and meditate, that global crime, terrorism, war deaths, fatalities, drug addictions, overdoses, all these things significantly decrease by as much as 3 out of 4, 72% was the highest number they got out of this. 72% reduction in all those things. Wow. That's huge. When you think about how powerful that is, and we're almost at 2,100 viewers now, so thank you for being here. But when we look at how intensely that benefits the planet, that meditation effect is there, 2,000 people, as we continue anchoring in, this is our global meditation. The whole show is the meditation. That's the secret I always tell you. We're not just waiting for the end of the show. A lot of people, we get about 300 or so that always leave anyway when we're doing the global meditation. But as I discuss these concepts with you, as I discuss this concept of higher consciousness, this concept of the galactic mind, this concept of intelligent infinity, we are really transforming ourselves. We are becoming some new type of human. This is the ascension. And we are in the festival of ascension right now. We're in that glorious time where we celebrate rising to our potential. And so, yes, by being a channel of blessing to others, you are engaging in the daily conversations, being positive, and then hearing that voice of the inner Christ. So this is very potent spiritual teaching. It's very relevant to who we are and what's going on, because things continue to go through very intense cycles of change. The things in the world are very, very intense right now. And to put it mildly again, we are going through a cosmic crucifixion. And, somebody did troll me about this in the comments of the X page, but it is true. You can laugh at that and say, oh, what do you mean cosmic crucifixion? No, this is a very specific thing in which I believe that Jesus, not all the messages that he intended for us to get were in the Bible. In other words, some of them are symbolic and metaphorical, and although the writers of the Gospels did a great job, you can't expect that they got everything right. You can't expect that every single thing that this galactic mind wanted you to know was put down in writing exactly the way it was supposed to be. Dreams, Jesus often speaks in parables, right? The idea of a parable is it's a dreamlike metaphor that you have to decipher and decode for yourself. You don't necessarily understand what the message is. You don't necessarily get the point right off the bat. Dreams speak in symbolic terms. Again, there could be symbolism that wasn't uncoded until 2020 about the nails in the hands and feet and the crown of thorns, the corona, the spear. These are very powerful. Oh, and also the bride and the bridegroom, the concept of the corona also being like a solar eclipse, and then the wedding ring of the bride and the bridegroom. That corona is also representative of the solar eclipse, which represents a conjunction, an alignment. And Jesus' teachings are consistent with those of 35 other ancient religious prophecies around the world, suggesting there is a 25,000-year cycle, and at the end of the cycle, we're going to go through some type of planetary ascension process. Now, how does this come about? How does it happen? We don't really know, but we have clues. The clues are out there. When in Sedona says, David, are you healthy? Message me for a food delivery gift if necessary, says Rob. Well, thank you, Rob, for that. He donated as well. Appreciate that. Let's make sure I didn't miss any other donations. No, we're good. So yes, I'm doing fine. Everything's fine. I did get a little bit of eye irritation from, I don't know what. Maybe it was the wind when I was out walking, or I rubbed my eye funny over here, but there's been a little bit of redness on that side. You can probably see it. There's really nothing I can do about it. Tony says he lost audio. I don't think anybody else has. Hopefully not. But that can happen sometimes. If anything weird happens, just refresh your browser, log back in again, and you should be fine. Oh. Frequency says, I keep a dream journal. Last night's dream was so clear. I had many wonderful symbolisms that I'm still digesting. That's right. Click the like button because we have 2,000 people watching. Thank you very much. Allergens are in the air big time. Yes, that's a very good point. So, yeah, I think allergens definitely are part of what I'm dealing with here. Anyway, it's a really great time to be alive. Somebody did troll me about this idea of going through a cosmic crucifixion. But you know what? It's true. We're all going through this together. We're all having an activation of our own ascension process. We're all having that initiation that is the ordeal. There's an ordeal involved in crucifixion. It's not easy. It's a horrific process where you're up there hanging and dying and bleeding. And, this is the whole story of Good Friday and Jesus being crucified, it's gory, it's horrific. And remember, he's up there for 3 days, right? Because Friday is when it starts, and he doesn't come down until Sunday when he's resurrected. Or no, actually, Friday is when he dies on the cross. And then he spends, I don't know, I'm not sure if that's true. Does he spend 3 days in the tomb? Or how does that work? You guys might know better than me. But anyway, it's a very valuable thing for us to be in embodiment here on earth, living in our truth, living in this light, this love, this resonance of being part of the higher consciousness, of letting that consciousness live through us. The Casey reading said it so well. He is your elder brother. It's how you treat other people. It's finding that still small voice within you, finding that babe in your own heart, and living in that consciousness, living in that truth. So yes, we are going through a cosmic crucifixion. It's not meant to be like this forever. I don't believe that the world is going to be like this forever. Yeah, and there's trolls that say, oh my God, how can you analogize what we're going through with crucifixion? Well, it's very scary. We're going through intense ordeals and upheavals and negativity and fear and not knowing how things are going to work out, not knowing exactly what's going on. I do believe that, yes, indeed, we are going through the hero's journey on a global level. This is a very important to be here with you. We are going to be talking about extraterrestrials. We're going to be talking about the Book of Enoch. We're going to be talking about angelic beings and demonic beings. And we're going to talk about how disclosure is coming to a head, some of the missing whistleblowers that are going on right now, and many other things, including photonic DNA, and what's the status with our war situation, how is that going? Lots of good stuff. So hope that you are going to stick around. We're good. The volume is fine. Everybody says everything looks good. We got 631 viewers already right out of the gate. That's pretty darn good. I'm sorry I announced this at the last minute. I had a really rough week again, and I wasn't sure if I was going to do a show, but my friend convinced me, dude, you got to do it. And yeah, so that's what we're doing, and it's pretty positive. It's interesting that a lot of people are now having a particular Chinese character show up after their name. I'm not sure what that's about, but My Red Birdsong Princess says it's nerd time. Amen to that. It is definitely nerd time. Your video and voice is great. Creative Nature Girl says, I can't wait for more extraterrestrial content. All right, well, you guys know I deliver the goods. This is no different. And so again, just to get started, I want to thank you so much for being here with me today and wish you a happy Palm Sunday. This is the time of the year where we celebrate the Ascension. And that is the idea of Christ's crucifixion, which is on Good Friday. Kind of strange that it would be called good when you consider how horrific the event is. But then all of a sudden he resurrects on Sunday, and that becomes Easter Sunday, having something to do with the East. The sun rises in the East, sets in the West. Vacapalo just donated, says, hello, handsome, right on time today. Thank you very much. Sure do deliver the goods. All right, we're up to 828 viewers. We're doing really well. 949 now. Wow, it's really climbing up quickly. So anyway, thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for the Super Chat donations. Glad that they are still working. I lost an old AdSense account. I got an email about that, and I was like, uh-oh, does that mean that we're not going to be able to accept payments? But it looks like we are. So yes, hit the like button, smash the like button. Let's see how many likes we have so far. We're already up to 353, but considering we've got over 1,000 viewers now, it says 1,026, we can definitely get that number higher. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being here with me today. I'm so happy that you are choosing to spend your time with me. Let's make the best of it. So Easter is a really fun time of the year in terms of what the spiritual implications are. This concept of a perfect Savior, a perfect man who came here to the earth to help us out and to bring about a new era for all of humanity. We got Monique, she donated, thank you very much. Little Tiny Joe, Palm Sunday blessings to you and us all. Namaste, thank you very, very much. Roger Zubarik, one of our long-term favorites. I'm looking forward to the show, and we all thank you. Thank you very much, Roger. David, since it's Palm Sunday, can you teach us how it ties into the Law of One, Book of Enoch? Of Of course, our Lord and Savior Jesus, looking forward to how you connect the dots every week. Yes, that's what we're going to be doing. So the book of Enoch will be coming up later, and that's a very interesting discussion because it appears in some reckonings think that this book is as old as the book of Genesis, that it goes all that way back. And again, it appears to be a revealed teaching. Now, the author that I was reading from in 1917 believed that it was coming out around 200 to 100 BC, that it was a contemporary author living in some, they think they've figured out who it is, but I'm OCD. Why is David sitting so far to the right of the screen? Well, that's just the way that I've set up these camera angles in order to be able to go around. If you like me being in the middle, we can go to this one for a little while. But anyway, there's lots of different angles we can choose from. We got this one over here. If you want to see me in the middle again, you got this one over here. That's one of the fun things that I did, was to work with my various video programming software and hardware and come up with a way where we can get lots of different camera angles for you to enjoy. So it's just a question of which one do I want to do. So yes, it's really cool, and I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you for the Super Chat donations. And let's try to make this a good Christmas, good Easter for me and for all involved. So thank you guys in advance for all your help on that. Katrina Hobbs says, thank you for all you've done over the years. So appreciated by all. Oh yeah, 7-minute coronal mass ejection this Easter, feeling more biblical than ever, says Kat Carroll. Yeah, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? We got a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of interesting changes in the world. When the sun flares up, there's major upheavals, and of course we have this war going on. And so I want to be clear that, you know, it is a frightening time in some ways, but at the same time, this is Easter, so we're not going to focus on the negative this week. We're not going to go through a bunch of blow-by-blows on what's happening with the war, where's it going, or what does it ultimately mean. We're going to focus on things like the teachings of Christ and the ascension. And so when you look at various other sources that we have consulted with, like the Edgar Cayce readings and so forth, the concept of Easter starts to expand. The concept of ascension, we double-click on that, we get a lot deeper on that than we ever have before, and it starts to become a lot more meaningful, because this isn't just, according to the Cayce readings at least, this isn't just the path of one individual, this is the path of all souls. We're all going to experience ascension at some point or another. And yes, I do believe that Jesus is the Logos. That's one of the things that my esoteric sources talk about, that the galactic mind compressed itself into a human body. That doesn't usually happen. It was pretty insane that it did. But it's a very big blessing for us that we had a Savior figure come here and redefine what it means for us to be human, that we see that we can become the light. We can become something greater than we ever thought. So that's the title of this. The title of this show is about, you know, becoming. We're getting into alignment with the Easter spirit. That's what we wanted to do here. So that's where we're going today with this. And this is the time of the year, again, where we're celebrating ascension. The Christ consciousness, Jesus the man who becomes Christed, that is the blueprint that we all follow. According to the Cayce readings, we are not just here to exist in some materialistic universe. Oh, we got another donation. That's B. Gabrillo. Bless to you and all. Thank you, David. You look extra handsome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Really do appreciate that. Alexandria donated. God bless always and happy Easter. Well, I do really appreciate all you guys, and I'm glad that the donation system still works. We really do need that help. And I want to thank you in advance for all of you who have not yet donated. If you can do that for us, it's really wonderful, and we really appreciate it. So anyway, yeah, life is good. I'm in a good space today. I feel happy, and I want to talk to you about how you can achieve these activations within yourself, because Jesus taught us about forgiveness. Jesus taught us about compassion. Jesus taught us about patience. There we go. There's a cool one. This is coming from our friend Zoran's mom, who is also Mary. We know her name from the Twitter page. Wow. So Mary, thank you very much. Thank you for the show today. Much love. She donated $100. We need more of those, but that's the first one. Oh, here's Dr. Phil, and he donated $50. Thank you very much, Dr. Phil XR. Bledsoe was talking about Regulus and the eye of the Sphinx around Easter as an event. There's a second Sphinx detected. Focus on the good. Absolutely. And Sarah Maita donated as well. Now it's starting to rack up a little bit. There's 3 on the board all at once. All right. Thank you guys very much, guys and girls. Easter is what we're talking about right now. And yes, it's a time to feel those blessings inside yourself. Feel the presence of this infinite love that is around us, that makes the universe what it is. Because the more that you can tap into that reality, the more that you can redefine yourself in that loving consciousness, the farther you've gone in your evolutionary path. Jesus, of course, the Logos discussion, I believe that there is a God the Father, which we could think of as a universal oneness. What does that mean exactly? That means the whole universe, ultimately, I believe, exists as an awareness, as an I am, as an infinite consciousness. So this source of revealed teachings in modern times, the Law of One, which I revere very much and have for a long time, the Law of One series teaches us that this is something that we all get to share in each other's, we get to share with each other how this works. Buck Apollo, Serena Bella are here as moderators. That's good. Never mind, he's asking for money again. I'm sorry that I have to do that. I won't do that too much. Sorry, got a little bit of a trolling thing happening there, but I can handle it. I'm a big boy. But no, look, we're not focused on the donations. We're focused on the message, and the messages of love, the messages of peace, the messages of forgiveness, the messages of Christ. And so thank you guys all for being here for so long and for hanging out with me, because Christ is the blueprint that we're all here to follow. And so that means that ascension is something that we're all going to be doing. We're all moving through an ascension process. We're all doing this together. And yes, ascension involves crucifixion, doesn't it? So we have the Father God, we have the Father Mother God is really the best way to say it. If you go back to the original Aramaic, it's Father Mother God. See, Chris Famuz donated, thank you. We also had CJ Shannon. Hi, David, sending you light and love. So good to see you. God bless. All right, you guys. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm grateful to be here today. The Father, Mother, God is the awareness of the universe, the intelligent infinity of the cosmos that surrounds and upholds us and makes us into who we are. And then that universal awareness also steps down into a galactic consciousness, which is the Logos. And the Logos can also paradoxically mean the universal mind as well, but it also refers to the galactic mind. So in the Law of One system, we finally get an understanding of what's at the beginning of the book of John. In the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. So what does that really mean? That means that the term Word means Logos. And so the Law of One, by using the word Logos, gives us this clue to what that passage in the book of John really means. It actually means, there's Johnny 2B. Forget the trolls. Remember, everybody has to be paid for the work they do. David, you are working in this very moment in time. Thank you very much, Johnny. That is true. And I appreciate being supported by you guys. It really does help a lot. It's kept me through everything. And there he is, RW Phoenix, the $333 donation, game-changing, life-saving move. Thank you very much. As always, may peace, love, and light be unto you and us all. Namaste. The trolls were why I made the Sofa King remark last week. I don't remember the Sofa King remark. But anyway, Gary Hyder says, David, you are a great anchor of peace and light. Prince Royal says, David, what do you make of other Jesus-like beings like Horus, Mithras, Krishna, Dionysus? There's too many connections that should be acknowledged. Yeah, I think that's a very important part of understanding what the Logos is. Jesus embodied in what the Law of One would call personality transparency, the mind of our galaxy. So you have God the Father. In the beginning there was the Word, the Logos, and the Word was with God. That would be the galaxy. So the galaxy is a step down from the universal consciousness, each galaxy being its own creator, which makes Jesus very interesting because this is the galactic mind embodying into a human. Now, all of us to varying degrees hopefully will be able to do that. That's the goal of what we're really here to attain on Earth, is to achieve this personality transparency where we are now more unified with the Creator, with the consciousness of the universe than we ever have been before. And so the UFO subject is very intriguing on this because when we look at the Bible, we look at how it seems like we're alone in the universe. It seems like nobody's here to take care of us. Nobody's helping us. Actually, it turns out that we're not alone and they've never left. They've been around here the whole time. And angelic beings are still interacting with us. They're still in our skies, and they're very much a part of our lives. So once we understand that, we've moved beyond where we thought we were. We're going into a whole new reality where we understand a level of consciousness that exists in our reality that is embodied in a certain type of body. But again, these would actually be the equivalent of higher dimensional beings. They're not in our reality so much as they're transdimensional, but they still exist here. And how exciting it is that we're on the brink of actually getting disclosure, that they're actually going to tell us at least some of the truth. We hope that that will happen. And we've got reason to hope now. We've got some very, very strong things on the horizon. Vakapalo, thank you for the donation. I think the word spirit, the one that moves over the waters in the book of Genesis, has a female root, doesn't it? Same as suitable help for men. Well, spirit, I know that it means spire, inspire, to breathe. It has to do with the breath, the pneuma, the breath of the compassionate, the breath of the divine. Pretty cool. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for donating. I really appreciate it. We're doing pretty good here. We're already crawling our way up towards the first $1,000 in donations, and we need that very much. I have to be able to keep on going. So yeah, people don't like it, but I appreciate it. A couple people don't like it, but it really does help us out. So we also have a website you can donate at as well, if that would be preferable to you. And somebody can drop that link in, as they always do. We fix that link for you so we know that it works. Anyway, back to the show. So it's been a while since I've been able to catch one of your lives. I hope you're doing well. Thank you, Donna. Appreciate that. Yeah, I feel good. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that we're together today, and I want to do the best show for you that I can. So we're really going to double click on this principle of the angelic visitations and how they want us to become the light. That's the principle of Easter, and it's a principle that really takes us a long way. Thank you, Vakapalo, for dropping that link. So yeah, we're doing really well, and let's remember that when we see Jesus move into the Christed form, he becomes different. And we'll talk about this again next week, but they did not recognize him after they rolled the stone away. His face was different, his body was different. He had to show them the holes in his hands in order to have them be convinced that it was really still him. Because that's how different the form that he became actually was. It didn't even have the same physical appearance anymore. And that really shows a multidimensional transformation. Now you think about this, Jesus had already demonstrated the resurrection of Lazarus. Lazarus was a trick that he'd already done. He'd already raised someone from the dead. But what's interesting about the way that he came back was that he actually looked different and had to do this proof of concept with his hands in order to get people to understand that it was really him. And then after he comes back in this Christed form, this is where we now have him be the embodiment of the galactic mind. It didn't start out that way. So he prepared himself for it. He grew up through this. The Casey readings say that the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ, which was a channeled work, is actually significantly accurate. NKIM74 donated. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate that. Yeah, so he embodied into a form that started out as human, but probably very enhanced from the beginning, because again, it's an immaculate conception. Mary's womb was seeded by whatever that light was that the three wise men were watching. Guided, maybe that wasn't it, but we know there was the Archangel Gabriel, the Annunciation. I'm going to show you a couple of those images again today. So we know there was a divine conception. There was an immaculate conception. And that's how this started. And so, in modern times, we can think, well, yeah, maybe that was some type of genetic procedure or something that happened. It could have been energetic, some type of angelic technology. But the point is, she did not get pregnant from her husband. She was pregnant from the actual divine conception. And so what we have, though, is a person who appears mortal in terms of his physical body, but then he achieves immortality through crucifixion, resurrection. It's a very, very interesting concept. So we're delving in on that because we are all apparently following this blueprint. And that means the logoic consciousness that Jesus embodied is our consciousness. We are all one. We are all going to return to that logoic consciousness. And then the question becomes, how does that actually happen? How do we get back to that galactic mind? How do we activate who and what we really are? We have another donation. This is Rockety Rocket. Namaste, David. If any of your insiders revealed details about a Stargate war, is the gift that 47 mentioned this week related to any Stargate sites in Iran? That's interesting. He did mention gifts. We're not really sure what that means, except that he did say that it had to do with the 10 oil tankers, which, then they're saying, well, we didn't do that. We didn't approve that or whatever. I know today is Palm Sunday and next week is Easter. That's right. But we're already diving in a week ahead. Some people want me to say Yeshua, not Jesus. That's fine. Anyway, I'll say Jesus just because it's something that everybody's familiar with. But yes, Yeshua works too. So, life is good here, and we're happy to have everybody on board. When we look at this thing, we unpack the Jesus story, we see that, yes, this was a blueprint of how galactic consciousness is activated in humanity. That's where the Casey readings become a little more contentious, a little more controversial, not quite the same as what we're seeing in other types of spiritual teachings, in that they say that Jesus was the blueprint that we are all following. We are all intentionally being activated into this higher Christed mind, this higher Christed state of awareness. And so crucifixion is a part of that process. And man, it has gotten really intense to be here on earth, hasn't it? It's gotten really wild, all the things that are happening that are bringing us through this ascension, man. It's just like every day there's something going on. Let me get a little lip balm going here. Every day is something going on. And are you sure that she wasn't impregnated by aliens, Mary, like Giorgio on Ancient Aliens says? They do crack me up on that sometimes. No, I think it was much more advanced technology than just extraterrestrial mating. Like I said, Archangel Gabriel is probably vibrationally based in some way that we don't understand. But yeah, I mean, so many people were affected by this story, the story of Christ, the story of this ascension, resurrection experience. It's big, and it's not going away. So that is the blueprint that we're all following. That is the blueprint that we are here to emulate. You and I are working together right now to help activate those dormant potentials of consciousness, and they do exist. To recognize that you can become the light, you can become more evolved. That is a path that Jesus paved the way for, that we all now get to enjoy. And I think that's awesome. So without having to go into too much detail, there's nothing that esoteric about it. There's nothing that difficult about this process. The basic teachings were given to us, and they are consistent, not only in Christianity, but in many other teachings as well. And so I think that we find commonality about the idea of being loving, commonality about forgiveness, commonality about patience and long-suffering. When you look at the ascetic traditions like in Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, there's very similar things about having positive thoughts, loving thoughts, being activated in your consciousness to be that loving being and to have that resonance occur. And I just realized I got to turn this light on over here, so we'll do that right now. That's one that I missed. Every now and then I miss one, so I'm going to get it going. There we go. Boom. Done. All right. It's all good. You guys could handle that, right? You could handle a little bit of that. Don't forget to hit the like button, says Serena Bella. Yep, Jesus is 100% man and 100% God Almighty. Well, that's, I believe that too. But we are all destined to become the oneness. We are all destined to embody the Logos, to embody logoic consciousness, to embody the galactic mind. And so, yeah, it might take a long time for us. It might take many, many future incarnations and going through levels of dimensionality. But don't forget, the Tibetans had their rainbow body activation, and apparently that was a logoic return. Still doesn't undermine the value and the significance of Jesus, but I do think it is possible for us to activate that Christ consciousness, that Jesus didn't just want to be worshipped, he wanted to be emulated. He wanted us to live up to his example, to live by that truth, to live by that teaching, to become that which we already are. And that's one of the great sayings in esoteric philosophy, to become what you already are. And I love that saying. So, and I love you too. I'm glad that you're here. Easter and Palm Sunday leads up to that. And this is where he's on the way. He's on the path already. So, yes, everybody seems to want to teach something like the Golden Rule. You're exactly right, PC user. That's my point. Buddhism, Hinduism, other Sufism, they all seem to have very similar traditions about loving and about opening your heart, about being, a steward of the light and helpful to other people. And it's so great when you see that. Superman is the adopted son of John and Martha, who are both in the Bible. Yeah, I think the Superman story was to some degree inspired by the story of Christ, definitely. And, that movie, the original movie, of course, Christopher Reeve, was so inspiring, and they've done many retakes of it now. But anyway, when we look at what was really going on here, Jesus peels back the veil. He makes it clear to us that there's something else going on beyond our physical body, beyond our physical mind. We have a new reality that we're going to move into. There's a new consciousness. There's something greater than just the everyday mundane world that we live in. And that everyday mundane world is going to be transformed. But in order to get there, we have to go through crucifixion. So I believe that the Jesus message capped off something that we saw in many other ancient traditions from the time, which was this prediction of end times. Of course, Jesus speaks extensively about end times. He speaks about not one stone here that is standing now will remain standing. They will be knocked down. He talks about all kinds of interesting things, including, of course, Book of Revelations. And so there's this whole end times notion of Jesus that is very fascinating, the eschatological understandings. And that's what we're in now. We're in this kind of an end time situation. I think that's one of the reasons why disclosure why disclosure hasn't happened yet, is that they don't want us to have this consciousness that we are in some kind of spiritual reality of end times. Now, Color by Numbers just donated. J.D. Vance said, all ETs are demons. Is this true? I knew this would come up, and so that's why we're not actually... I'm going to read exactly what he said, and he did not say that they're all demons, okay? So I just want to be clear that there's a lot of things going on here. And anyway, fallen angels, yes, I would definitely say that crack up the fallen angels to being demons, but no, if you read his quote, it's pretty clear that he's talking about the fact that there's both And that's interesting, yeah. Disclosure hasn't happened because it throws the cultural lens of the origin story of all major religions into question. It's a really good point. Donna Settle says, David, you're on fire today. You're inspirational. Thank you very much. I mean, this is it. This is our time to be alive. This is our time to be transformed. So many different ancient cultural prophecies, 35 different prophecies from around the world. Basically, every major legitimate spiritual tradition has an eschatology. It has an end-time cosmology that talks about some type of solar event that transforms everything on Earth. And that is in the book of Enoch, and we're going to read that again today. It's really, really fascinating. And so we're gonna dig in deep on this, and we're going to talk about how that event helps us become the light. That the event that Jesus went through, the ascension, the resurrection, was apparently a template of this greater ascension that will happen all on planet Earth. Now, when does it happen? I'm not really sure. There may be a first wave. We may get something like that. And we're not really sure when it was. I had interpreted some prophecies I got to think that it was 2025. Clearly, we jumped the gun on that. But, same thing happened in 2000, same thing happened in 2012. But 2025, I think, was a major, major benchmark where so much more of the future became visible to us. This exposure of negativity on Earth. I mean, think about how much people are learning about what's really going on. And the awesomeness, the oppressiveness of the evil that is there. And then right after we start getting into that, all of a sudden, boom, we've got this big distraction. We've got this whole thing happening with Iran. But we're here now, and, the point is that we're having an awakening. We're learning that this type of deep oppression exists, and some people never had that level of awareness of the negativity that could really be there before. Now they do. Now they see it, and it's an interesting thing to understand that, it's advertised very significantly, and it's ongoing. I mean, look at what's happening in the world now with AI. My own friend, one of my closest friends, is telling me multiple people he personally knows, who have lost their jobs or are losing their jobs to AI. That AI is taking over things like customer service, upper class, managerial, white collar jobs. They are losing their pay. They are losing their financial livelihood to this new menace, if you will. And we're just kind of marching into this blindly. I mean, it seems pretty scary when you look at it about what's really going on. So, Tammy says, I was told you have to sign up for it to have a beautiful life. If not, you'll be left behind. Yeah, I mean, the ascension is something you have to participate in. You have to be ready for your soul to transform. You want to be practicing these things because different people will handle this differently. But the law of one implies that it might be 100 to 700 years away before we get a full transfiguration. But I also wouldn't be surprised if once we get the exposure of the real negativity on Earth, when we get real disclosure, when all these things start to come out, that these events pave the way for a galactic family reunion. And that galactic family reunion is a big deal, man. We're talking about the return of angelic beings to the planet, that they come back and Jesus will be among them, is what we're led to believe, at least. This second coming of Christ is not just one thing. It's a whole armada of different beings. And so that's very, very fascinating. Gina Montoya donated. Thank you very much. She says, happy to see you. You need to work at being a good person in order to ascend. I totally agree. So, yes, we're over 2,000 viewers now, so we're doing really well here at the half-hour mark. I'm glad that you guys are here. We've got a great audience. And so, yes, we're going through a planetary crucifixion process as foretold in so many of these different ancient prophecies. It's not just one or two, it's 35. And they all have these interesting symbolic codes embedded in them that relate back to the numbers of the 25,920-year cycle that the Earth goes through. The wobbling on its axis has things in it like, for example, 72 by 360. the Earth's axis moves by 1 degree every 72 years. 1 degree of the circle. How many degrees are in a circle? 360. Okay. So if you have 360 degrees in a circle, and then it moves by 1 degree every 72 years, you multiply 360 by 72, and you get 25,920, which is the total number of years it takes for the Earth to do this. It's counter-rotating in the opposite direction from its normal rotation, and it takes 25,000 years to complete. We've talked about this extensively. The idea that it actually appears to be that we are orbiting Alpha Centauri, and the Mayan calendar end date of 2012 was expected to be maybe some type of solar flash. Well, on that exact date, just about December 21st, 2012, we did have a solar flash next door on the star known as Proxima Centauri, and I've showed you that before in many other slideshows that we've done. It's freaking incredible that there was actually a solar flash, that Proxima Centauri, almost down to the day, because it takes 4.3 light years to get to Earth from that star. So in whatever it was, March or May of, I think March 2017, the light got here, and we saw that the sun got much, much brighter very quickly. It would have scorched all the life on that solar system, on any planets around Proxima Centauri. It happened almost exactly on December 21st, but it's actually closer to the date of Christmas, December 25th, which is a very Christ-oriented day once again. We'll maybe go through that again next week for the Easter show. That would be great. We'll review some of that information. But anyway, it's a fascinating thing to realize that the anticipated solar flash of 2012 did happen. And so, some ancient prophecies told us there was going to be one in 2025 as well. When I was bringing that date out, it included stuff from Saint Germain, where apparently Saint Germain was saying this to people. 2025 would be this epic return. We haven't seen that yet, but it's not going to happen until we're ready. No one knoweth the day nor the hour. But I don't believe that we're going to go on in a mundane reality much longer. I do think this cosmic family reunion is coming our way, and I'm very, very excited about it. So it's a planetary initiation. We move through this as a planet. We all go through a transfiguration process that involves crucifixion, because again, Christ is the blueprint that we're all following. So the crucifixion is part of that process, and this is all the negativity we're going through. The negativity leads to a planetary activation. It's not just that we're going through this suffering and there's no end to it and it's just going to keep on going and it gets scarier and scarier and it gets worse and worse. I know it can seem like that. This war is very upsetting, don't get me wrong, but it's also leading somewhere. I don't believe that we're going to be stuck here forever. I do think we're going to be okay. I'm confident that we're going to work through this, that we're going to be okay, that things are going to work out. And in fact, I know they're going to work out. I'm very confident, certain, in fact, that this is all going to work out the way that it should. We have not been abandoned. We have not been left alone by the universal mind. The negativity is leading to a planetary activation. That's such an important point. You can't even stress it enough. We're up to 2,200 viewers now. Thank you very, very much for that. And, so we have, anyway, it's ultimately not a bad thing that we're here together, that we're sharing with each other. I'm trying to share a positive message. That's my focus. I believe that Jesus is real. I believe the Christ consciousness is real. I believe it's the galactic mind. And as you activate that galactic consciousness, you are transforming yourself. You are becoming something greater than you ever thought you could be. And that really, really changes the game for us. So as we become more cosmically aware, our souls are enhancing, our vibrations are enhancing. Oh, great. Beverly Adams is here, and we're happy to have you. So anyway, yes, everything will be fine, David. Father appreciates you. Thank you very much. And somebody says Enoch is the model of the Messiah, as I understand it, anointing, symbolizing, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you very much, David Savage. He had a biological healing to undergo in order to interact bodily with the angelic ETs of the cosmos. We have Manny Figueroa. He donated. Thank you very much. I don't know how to pronounce Spanish, but Dios te bendiga y alabado sea el Maestro Jesus. Hope that I didn't mangle that too much. Charlie Winner just donated. Thank you very much, Charlie. She says, let the light expose the darkness. Have no fear. Just process the karma. God is all things. Love you, David. Thank you, Charlie. Really appreciate that. David, you are awesome. All right. So yes, when we get through the understandings of this, we realize that yes, there was an anticipated solar flash. The Mayan calendar ending in 2012, 5,125 years in length. That's exactly 1/5 of the 25,000-year cycle. 5125, the Mayan calendar length, 5,125 years. Multiply that by 5, you get 25,625, which is pretty darn close to 25,920. So these cycles all appear to interact, and different cultures were in fact looking at this 25,000-year cycle that I believe is the orbit through celestial geometry created by Alpha Centauri. And when we get to the end of the cycle, we're going into a geometric nexus. Some have called it a photon belt or a galactic cloud. And that galactic cloud of energy has some type of transformative effect upon our sun, which then actually shoots out these fourth density photons and creates this planet-wide activation. That is what's in the Book of Enoch, many other texts promising us a solar flash. It's very, very exciting. Diana Peralta, happy belated birthday, David, and she donated $100. Thank you very much. And then Manny Figueroa says, en anglais, God bless you and praise Master Jesus. All right, great. Thank you. Thank you very much for your help. Thank you for the donations. We're now pushing 2,300 viewers. That's awesome. I'm glad you guys showed up here. We're still at the 41-minute mark. You guys are all kind of filing in as time goes on. So yes, we're celebrating Easter. We're celebrating the Ascension. We're celebrating the resurrection a week in advance. We'll do it again next week because, this is my whole, Ascension is my whole shtick. And I really do believe this stuff. I'm not lying to you about my beliefs. I'm actually sharing with you stuff that I have great convictions about. So when I look at the story of Jesus, I'm saying, here's an example of something that really is meant to resonate with our core, to define us, to change us, to give us hope and meaning and purpose. And so as we're going through very difficult things on earth, we were told to expect this. Ancient prophecies told us to expect this. They told us that we were going to go through hell. They told us we were going to go through negativity. They told us it would be difficult. They told us that these would be the times that would try our souls. They told us that it was not going to be easy, and in fact, it's not easy at all. But this negativity that we're going through is creating a planetary activation. There are analogies in the book of Revelation and in other books as well about the concept of the tree, and that the harvest will not occur until all of the fruits of the tree are ripe, and the tree has to ripen in its proper season. So the 25,000-year cycle essentially gets into the idea that the earth itself undergoes an energetic change, and that energetic change then ripens the fruit, if you will, which is humanity, so that we all are transformed at the same time. And it's not going to happen until the conditions are right for that. Mayan Mountain said, I bought your books for my girlfriend, Rachel. She loves them. Thank you so much for what we do. And that was great, too, because that's a donation. We also have Bonnie Demlong. She just donated. Thank you guys very, very much for what you're doing. We really appreciate everything. And so, yes, thank you very much for all of the help. Thank you for what you're doing here. And yes, I use the word shtick, but I mean, I just use it as a positive in the sense that, for me, this is a shtick would be like a common routine that you do. And my show, my common routine is to talk about spirituality, UFOs, angelic beings, and ascension. And you guys like that or you wouldn't be here. Beverly Adams says, Jesus said you can do all I do and more. You just don't know who you are. We are the future healing medbeds. That's right. It's a really great promise. I mean, the Christian promise is something wonderful. When we think about what this means for us, what this ascension really means and how far we can take this, it's incredible. The scope, the majesty, the glory and beauty of who we become and what we really are, you just can't match up to it, man. It's so amazing to think about what's really going to happen on Earth, and as we transform and as we become more than we ever thought we would be, it's really, really cool. And so Yiddish is the pepper of English. That's right. Shtick is a Yiddish word. That's right. German and Hebrew put together. Don't forget the juicy intel on current things going on. Yeah, we are definitely on the verge of getting some kind of disclosure, and I believe that all of that is related to this planetary activation. It's very, very cool, very exciting. It's a very great time to be here. It's a very great time to be alive, and we are working through this process together. So the planetary activation that I'm talking about happens through what I would call a divinely ordained celestial process. And I was explaining to you a little bit about solar flares and solar activations and the idea that there could be a solar flash. This is a fun and exciting concept for everybody because, frankly, it can be really painful. We're looking at a lot of difficulty on Earth. And in the hero's journey story, remember, he has to appear to be dead for 5 pages of screenplay, but then he comes back to life and he is renewed and transformed and uplifted by his own or her own hero's journey. And this is a soul blueprint for all of us. We all go through the hero's journey. So let's talk a little bit about that, because last Sunday we were wondering if all hell was about to break loose. You remember that? Because the very next day of Monday was the deadline for the United States to launch an all-out attack if they did not surrender. And then remember, the counter threat was, well, if you do that, if you attack our energy infrastructure, then we're going to blow up everything you got, all your energy infrastructure, which could essentially put us back into the dark ages, could create an energy crisis the likes of which we've never seen before. Though we do have alternative over unity technologies out there, we would have to mass produce them, and we wouldn't necessarily be able to get that done fast enough. So that got really, really scary. Then the deadline got extended, and since then, we had 2 deadline extensions. So first it was 5 days, then it became 10 days. So, bottom line was that when I was doing the show last week, I did not know if we were about to go into something really bad. And I'm not trying to be fearful here. In fact, I think this is just the opposite. It's a positive message, because we prayed for peace, and at least in the short term, peace has persisted. These 2 deadline extensions, yes, it's in the future now, but at least in the short term, peace has persisted. So in that sense, our humble efforts may have contributed to the outcome. Why? Because of the so-called meditation effect. Right now, we have 2,330 concurrent viewers. That's pretty good for the 47-minute mark. And so when you have that number of people here, we see that, yes, that changes the game pretty significantly. And, we're not alone. We're not alone. We're actually living with each other in this collective awakening together. And when a certain number of people, the square root of 1% apparently, get together and they meditate on world peace, the meditation effect discovered by Transcendental Meditation, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, found out that, yes, meditation activates our consciousness, it activates our awareness, it brings us to this higher level of our own beingness, where we are now seeing the planet becoming more peaceful. They got up to a 72% reduction in crime, war, terrorism, death, fatalities, illnesses. The economy gets better. People don't have as many drug overdoses. Everything improves in a really remarkable way through nothing more than about 7,000 people or so in meditation. So we create that loving space here in the show. The whole show itself is the meditation. And we were praying, and we prayed in our meditation that we'd be okay and that the world not collapse into chaos. And sure enough, we got 2 deadline extensions since then, and we're still in the game, and everything's okay. Hasn't turned into a world war. So again, in that sense, I believe our humble efforts may have contributed. And I'm very grateful that they did. I'm very grateful that they did. So Tracy Always Rocks donated. And DME, Soldier of God, look forward to the next phase of the Great Awakening. Thank you as well, David, for all you do. It's the greatest time to be alive. Love and light. All right. So the ones who are awake know the war is just central casting. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that, because people are really dying. And so, we're losing soldiers on our side. We're losing soldiers on the other side. Apparently 13 of our bases are now uninhabitable. One of our E-3 AWACS aircraft just got hit too in Saudi Arabia. That was a real shocker. There's only 16 of them that exist. They're very essential for radar and stuff. So it's a little squirrely. I'm not gonna deny that. Maybe only half of the E-3s are in service, and they already had 6 of them that they were using for this theater of operations. So, Russia may be adding intel on targeting, but thankfully there's no open World War III, anything like that going on. There may be supplying going on of drones to this country as well. So it's very intense. And anyway, we've got a lot of things happening here that are... That's a really funny joke. J-Bo says, I need to find a shirt, David, that I saw. Moses was in front of a burning bush, and he says, oh my gosh, my herb, crap. I guess like the burning is the herb is what he's trying to say. Anyway, I don't know if he was doing that. Anyway, yes, we always have casualties in wars between light and darkness. I pray the light will win. David, you look healthy today. Your hair looks nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, so it's not a bad thing that we're going through this planetary awakening ultimately, but it is scary. The war developments, thankfully, are not turning into total catastrophe, but we are going to get, and we already are getting, increases in our gas prices, that kind of stuff. It's going to have a negative effect on the economy. Let's hope that we can sort this out pretty quickly, open up the strait, get all this stuff working again. There are plot twists every day, and I admit it to you, it's really tough on me. I'm not sleeping all that well. I have insomnia, but I know that we're going to be okay. I do believe that. And so right here today, as we're doing this, I think this is a valuable service because we're helping to contribute to the meditation effect. We're helping to increase that collective consciousness of love and peace and higher vibration. And so in that sense, I do believe that part of why things didn't go crazy last week, and not all, but part of it could be that we did this meditation because our numbers are large enough, they should be, when you look at the total number of people who watch the show, in order to have a collective influence. What are we working against? We're working against the difficulty that everybody's facing. Most people are going through a great deal of stress. They are emotionally unstable, unbalanced. They don't feel happy inside. They are very, very afraid, and rightfully so. I mean, there's a reason why this is scary. And so Rospur says, what is the real reason for the Iran war? Is it the Stargate or is it the oil like the Iraq war? The first thing the U.S. soldiers went for is the museum. Well, again, there very well could be stuff in Iran that is ancient and very valuable, but there is no ground invasion going on yet. And I think that right now, obviously, as I've said before, even if you can't stand this administration, and again, my whole family, I'm the only one who is not on the left, right? So when I have a conversation, I'm focusing on how do we get along? How do we find commonality? How do we not hate each other? And how do we try to get along peacefully with each other? My whole family is on the left. And when we look at it from their side, you know, it's very upsetting. They're very, very distraught. So even if you don't like the administration, I would ask you to just consider, why would they go to this much political risk to do something like this, knowing that it's going to make people upset, knowing it's going to cause loss of life? And is it really just something as simple as this assertion that, oh, well, he's being manipulated, he's being controlled by a certain country? I know a lot of podcasters out there are saying that now. I don't believe that it's that at all, because if it was something like that, there should have been pushback from the military. They wouldn't have allowed this to happen. They wouldn't have wanted to go forward. I think that it's something that accomplishes mutual objectives. And so, again, there could be a whole lot of nasty stuff that was coming out of this country. It was apparently a very big part of the swamp. They showed us that in Alliance postings, that there's symbolism they were using that's consistent with other stuff that we've seen that represents this very negative force. And so I do believe that nobody would take this kind of risk just because they're put in a hard place. They would take this kind of risk because they felt it was absolutely necessary to get us to the goal that they want, which ultimately is a peaceful and harmonious planet. So again, I don't know all the details, and I think it's very important, again, as I said last week, that everybody in this community recognize we don't know everything we think we know. We can pretend that we know this or that. We can try to do our best to do research, but there is proprietary information that we simply don't have that is in the hands of these higher authorities that are looking at this in these various positions of power. And so maybe you don't trust it at all. I understand that, but I at least trust that there is something going on that we don't have all the details for. And in the future, we may get those details. And maybe at that point, we're going to be very, very glad that this actually got done, because it's going to be really something. I believe once the truth comes out, it's going to shock people. They're not really ready for that truth. It's going to be very, very intense, to say the least. So most people, as a result of what we're dealing with, they're going through a great deal of stress. And people are saying you're literally watching a movie playing out. Mass consciousness is awakening slowly but surely. I agree with David. We don't know what is going on behind the scenes. Some people think he's been blackmailed or tricked. Again, I don't really think it's that simple. I don't believe that would happen. David Savage says, Shalom, shalom, la'olam, olam. Shalom doubled means perfect peace of completion. Olam means concealed, refers to the universe, concealing God. Everlasting, perfect peace to the universe eternally. Thank you. So yes, look, I know that wars by their very fundamental nature are upsetting. I'm not trying to legitimize the idea, oh yeah, war is great. No, it's hell. War is hell. But also, we are already in it. And so to ignore that it's happening is to not pay attention to the moment of time that we're in. We're in this distinctive little moment of time, and we're on Palm Sunday here, the week before Easter. The message of Christ is that we are going to become the light. And so war involves fatalities, war involves death, war involves suffering. So did the crucifixion. Crucifixion was Jesus' own activation. It transformed him into this higher level of being, this multidimensional light body activation. It's very, very exciting when you think about what this really means and where it's going. And so, we're trying to find a way to be able to... Oh, Access Monday says, David, you missed my super chat. Let's see where that was. Yeah. Have you seen the city Astana in Kazakhstan? You should do a show on it, please. They have a pyramid meeting room and lots of other symbolic structures have been built there. Very strange city. Love you. And we also had DME, Soldier of God. Tracy always rocks. Donations as well. Sorry if I missed your donations, but now I got them, and I'll keep on going. Well, somebody says the audio keeps cutting off. Nobody else seems to be getting that. What do you know about Astana in Kazakhstan? I don't really know anything about it. That's the first I'd heard of it. What did he say here? He said that it was a pyramid meeting room and lots of other symbolic structures built there. Well, anyway, yeah, we're hearing that it's good audio. So I don't know anything about that, but I can only talk about things that I've actually studied. Astana is not something I've studied. But anyway, we're up to almost 2,500 viewers now. That is awesome. And Charlie Winter says, she donated and says, Megyn Kelly suggested that this certain country pushed us into this war, promising that there would be a civil uprising aiding to easy change. They wanted to pipe oil through them towards ports they will control, and they were called out by the VP. Curious. Well, again, we don't want to be haters here. I'm not trying to be a hater on anybody, but thank you for the comment. I think it's important too that we recognize that yes, we don't know everything, and it's the fog of war. It's a strain. It's a difficult time. And I know a lot of people are really pissed off. I don't want to be one of those pissed off people. I don't want to add to the negativity. I think it's important that we step back and realize, again, I do not believe that this would only have been the result of some type of pressure. The pressure could have been applied, But I think that what we're really dealing with here is something that at least the majority of this administration thinks they really needed to do it, and that it was going to be an essential component before on, because, you know, you need to have sun on your head. And of course, the sunlight is not going to be on my hair very much at all in this type of weather. So it's brown, but that's okay. You know, it's still, I'm happy with it. You know, I think it looks reasonably clean. I always leave it a little while. I don't want to try to blow dry it all out for you guys, but yep, the trolls hate that we moderate the speech in the room. Can't hear you. Somebody says they can't hear me, but everybody else can. Yeah, please don't use keywords. Amber, I don't know what, we do not use the E word. We're going to talk about what happened this past week just a little bit. But we are definitely not going to be using keywords. So please don't write those things in the comments section, because believe me, it knows what you're saying. So you know, we want to be family friendly here. And so just be careful about that, please. Trigger words. That's right. Please, everyone, hit the like button for Angry Daddy David. Use your loving energy and hit that button. Absolutely. So what is the topic here? What are we really going to dive into? What's the juice? What's the sizzle in the steak? The sizzle in the steak is this idea, first of all, of what is gravity. And so we're going to get into that, the idea that gravity is actually not what we think. It's very different. Oh, here's one of my favorites, Roger Zubarik. Looking forward to you today. Was out of my loop for the last 2 weeks due to work shift changes. Thank you for being here, Roger. We love you, buddy. All right. So yes, I am very excited about the idea of gravity and reframing what we thought we knew about it, because the whole definition of gravity, I think, needs to be revamped. And now that we're getting disclosure coming out of the mainstream media, even, we've got very stunning new revelations coming out about what is gravity, or at least in terms of can gravity be controlled. And so now we've had official acknowledgement that gravity, anti-gravity is real, that there are craft out there demonstrating these capabilities, and that is frankly quite stunning. I will be back to your comments in just a second, so keep writing them. I just want to dive around a little bit, show you the cameras. I am so grateful for you guys, I really am. And I want to do the best job that I can to keep you inspired and positive, because we really need it right now. The information that came to light on Friday for many people is going to be interpreted as very upsetting. If you've encountered this information before, then it's not necessarily something new, but nonetheless, you're still going to have, and I get that, you know, a very difficult time as you learn new things and as new stuff comes up. It's just very challenging. So I want to hold a positive space and get beyond that negativity. Roger Zabarik says, I love you back. All right, buddy. Hoorah. Thank you, Roger. Thank you for being here today. We love you too, buddy. So that's great. Don't talk about the things that prove everything we've been telling you for the last 25 years. Well, no, I mean, it is something where right now at this point in time, I think it's better for me to watch the wheels, and you know, we're not gonna, we'll get into that in a minute. But in the meantime, so we've got, see, even certain things are being held for review. That's because, you know, you say the word that starts with A, the name, that's another thing. So just be really careful, everybody. And so we have to be careful. We have to be careful because you guys got to remember this is a family-friendly show. And so we're only going to talk about family-friendly topics. And so please honor that. And that includes key names, which we've just now figured out includes the name that starts with A. All right, fair enough. Good to know. We're learning as we go. Stephen says, times, not the same. Times like now, we can often feel prayer within our body like a quick recovery from anxiety that would last a week. Yes, I totally agree. Charlie Winter just donated $22. She's one of our really loyal fans here. Hello, family of David. Love your show. Looking forward to hearing your take on global affairs and your guidance on staying positive. That's always what we do. That's always how we start. And Ross Feinstein just donated. This is Ross's wife, Jill. She donated $50. We are so happy, she says, to be able to celebrate Ross's birthday today with our Wilcock Sunday family. What a perfect topic to kick it off with. Thanks for spreading the love. Well, we really appreciate you, Ross and Jill. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing such an amazing job with our moderation tasks, and we love you. So be aware that these changes are something that will affect the world so dramatically that I really encourage you not to focus on the negative. It's easy to do that. It's easy to get drawn in. Negativity itself can be like a gravity well. That's one of the quotes on gravity in the Law of One that I found when I was looking for quotes this week. So please, please do your best to stay positive. I want to do the best job I can to help you stay there because, again, we are all learning and growing together. We're all going through this as a unit. Mass consciousness effects are happening to us in real time. And so we're all having these things impinge upon our consciousness. It's been very, very intense. And I'm glad that you guys can, find out what's going on from me, get a cosmic update, because again, the Law of One, which is a spiritual text that I have studied greatly, and it's sort of like the basis of these shows that I do, the Law of One tells us, that we have to be balanced. And we talked about that last week, the principle of balance. What does this mean? This means that when we go through negativity, we're also going to have positive things that come out to balance the negativity. That way, we're not overwhelmed and deluged by just negative stuff. We actually get the positive things too. Let's see if I can go to the extreme close-up without losing my bandwidth here. Anyway, little funny curl over there. I can fix that. Yeah. Anyway, we want to focus on the positive because the universe mandates that there be balance. The universe mandates that you don't have more negativity than positivity at any one moment. So when really scary things like this are happening, there is a need upon all of us to go out there and represent the positive, to share it with others, to give it a voice, to give it a perspective, to let it be heard, because this is so significant. It's so important that we have that opportunity to do that. We don't want to take these things for granted. We really want to be able to remember that we are loved, remember that we are part of a divine consciousness. And I don't want you to lose track of that, because when things upset you, I get it. It can be hard to sleep. You can end up, ruminating about it, worrying about it. We don't want you to get stuck into that kind of a negativity vortex, which is very easy to do. Negativity can be consumptive, it can be intense, and it can be very draining on your personal vital energy. So we get that. Vacapalo says, what an opportune haircut. What an opportune topic. Nice haircut. Sorry about that. David, are you related to the so-called tall Nordics? I have no idea. But, perhaps there are those of us out there who have a certain amount of spiked DNA. Maybe there was, there's definitely seems to be strange UFO events in my mother's experience with me, my childhood. Lots of strange things happened that perhaps I did have some type of DNA. I mean, who knows? I'm trying to be more mainstream a little bit here and not get quite so esoteric, but, we can speculate about the idea that certain beings do exist and they are visiting us, and that there are positive ET souls here. There are wanderers. And those are, angelic souls that volunteer to be human and incarnate in this realm. It's very difficult for them because it's hard to be here. And we've never seen more of that example than we do right now. Tammy Hebert, we need positive, loving, beautiful testimonies from all the beautiful gifts for humanity coming on mainstream media after the flip and disclosure. I agree. And so, man, the moderators are fast today. They're definitely on the ball. Serena Bella, just got one of them right away. No need for me to read a lot of this stuff. It's more pleasurable if I don't. So thank you, moderators, in advance. J'aime ta belle chemise rose. That means I love your beautiful pink shirt in French. See, I translated it for you. What happened on Friday, says Emmy, yeah. Well, if you don't know, then just hang in there. Barb, gosh, blessings, she donated. New and happy to catch you live. God bless you. David, shout out to my dear friend Sandy who introduced me to you. God bless all your positive, loved in love and light and positivity. All right, what? Bring on the esoteric. Love that you are. Love, embrace yourself. That's right. Okay, so yes, we are here to create healing for you. We are here as a whole. You know, everybody in this community wants to be in the same place. We want to be happy. We want to be healthy. We don't want to be dragged down by negativity. We want to have a positive focus, because with that positive focus, we control our destiny. We actually control the outcome of our lives, and we're not stuck with the same old negative stuff that just keeps on seeming to tirelessly repeat over and over again like a broken record. We don't want that. We want to be on the good side. We want to be on the positive side for ourselves, for our families. We want to stay in that light, stay in that resonance, because energy and consciousness are all interconnected, and that's a very good place to be for us as a human race. You know, we want to be consciously connected to our higher selves and have all the positivity that we can muster, however that comes out for us. Angelo Munoz donated, thank you very much. Doreen Clark donated, thank you very much. All right, and we're up to 1,700 viewers, so we're doing really well here. I'm here to translate space. That's good. I'm glad that you're doing that. Thank you very much. So we are going through these mass consciousness effects. They are all happening right now in real time, and this has made life into a day-by-day challenge. Among those things include war and rumors of war, and so we're hearing that this Iran situation might still happen. January 31st, the army chief is warning against any attack, says their forces are on high alert, and we also had this the next day. The Serbian president, Alexander Vučić, says he believes that a strike could be launched within the next 48 hours. Whoa. So yeah, no pressure, right? No big deal. Let's just try to not be scared about the idea of the end of the world happening. Because, you know, World War III, what could happen? Who's going to do what? What kind of technology do they have? Will they be able to fight back? You know, these are very scary things. So, Frequency says, I felt like I was timeline hopping yesterday. I cooked up a storm for your live only to find out it was Saturday evening, not Sunday. Ha ha ha. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot going on, man. There's a lot to be concerned about. But our topic today is on the gravity of love, and so we want to gravitate love to ourselves. When negativity is abounding, when it's everywhere, and it's so difficult to not be sucked in by it, we want to have a positive focus. We want to have a positive attitude, raise our vibration, not be stuck down in the doldrums of negativity, but actually find a way to get beyond that. How do we get beyond the classic patterns that so many people get stuck in, where their mind loops around endlessly in the same negative thoughts about yourself, about others? We don't want that. We want to be positive. We want to focus on the positive. Photons are made of pure love. That is absolutely right. This is a major, major aspect of what's going on. Hopefully we don't destroy gravity. We might all fly off into space. I don't think we're going to destroy gravity. It's much more than that. So anyway, happy to be here. Happy that you guys are involved. Much of America right now is still experiencing severe cold. I actually kind of overdressed my bottom layers for this. I'm a little bit sweaty. And I might have to actually go and take one of them off, but not on camera. We'll have to figure out how to do that if I really need to do that. But right now I'm okay. I just gotta, keep the focus clean and pure, and try not to sweat too much. But maybe I'll take my socks off. That might be one thing I could do. Let's try that right now and see if that helps a little bit. Maybe I'll put them back on later. But right for now, yeah, let's just do that. See how that makes me feel. It's a little bit too much. A little bit too much to take the socks off. So anyway, I might have to go take a break in a minute to get things a little bit less hot. I kind of overestimated what I needed to wear, but we can do that as time goes on. We'll just figure out how to do this. It is a live show, so you got to just go with what's happening. Oh my God, you can't say these things, you guys. Certain words are not, so please don't say keywords. We already talked about that before. It's not good. You got to remember this chat is a family-friendly chat, so certain words we don't want to be saying. All right. Anyway, good enough. We'll take it from there. And oh wow, it's interesting that my timer on my recorder actually says 1 hour and 11 minutes, 111. Nice little synchronicity there. Okay, so, yeah, we definitely have to be careful about what we say, so just be aware of that. But again, we're at 1,839 viewers. That is awesome. Thank you guys for being here. The gravity of love, love is a gravitational force. And in the Law of One series, the spiritual text that I kind of have as my main center of focus, love is defined as gravity. There is a definition of gravity as love that we're going to get into here, which is really cool. So think about the philosophy of gravity. What does gravity really mean? Gravity is a tendency for bodies to be attracted to one another, for objects to come together. It's actually the tendency for the universe to reunify, if you want to think about it that way. So when we start looking at it that way, when we start having those things in our consciousness, then we look at gravity differently, and we're not stuck in the same old paradigm anymore. We start seeing that there's a way to take a seemingly emotional concept like love and then apply it philosophically to a concept like gravity, and we get something really interesting out of the deal. So in terms of our current events, we need to gravitate more love to ourselves. Much of America is still experiencing extreme cold. But once again, we dodged a major bullet. We had that huge storm that was plowing over the whole country. I was really worried about that. We talked about it on this show. We didn't know what the heck was going to happen. How bad is that going to be? Where is it going to hit? And yeah, Nashville got hit really hard. Mississippi got hit really hard. But thankfully, the scope of the damage was much less severe in terms of the number of people affected than we thought that it might be. So I will say that for America as a whole, we pretty much dodged a major bullet there. The scope was much less damaging than we expected, which is great. We do still, nonetheless, pray for those in Nashville, Mississippi, etc. As of yesterday, I think there was still 189,000 people who don't have power. That's a very large number, and of course, some of those people who got hit may have watched our show. So I had some trolls saying, oh, David talked all about the weather and, how to wear layers